Welcome to Macrocode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today I want us to deal with something called authorization and authentication in our Blazor series. So as you can see on our application, we have the students. We are able to navigate to students, add a student, do all those details, then parents, add a parent, check on the teachers, go to the subjects, add a subject, departments, add a department. And also when we are adding a department, if you come here, you'll see that we have a created by and the created on. But now we've just added this as a, we've just actually coded this. So if you go to our application and check on our services, you'll see that most of our services, we have been providing the name a macro code as a text. So you'll see this is the text, but I want us to do something. Instead of doing this, I want us to authenticate the user who is actually logged in and capture some of this information before even then we are able to get the correct person who is logged in. So in our application, we are using SP.NET Core identity. So if you come here, you'll see that on our tables, we have the SPNet users. So if we select this, we were able to go through these on our initial point. But now we changed this to some kind of template. So we want to actually ensure that we have that information before logging in. So I want us to do something. On our users, you see we have the username, the email, the normalized email, and the password. So I want us to create a class. So I want us to come to I want us to add some details to our identity users. So how do we do that? I'm going to add another class here and call this application user. Then when I add that, I'm going to use, say, public. Then on this application user, I'm going to have inherit identity user, identity user. So that is it. So I need to install this. Let me just check that. Then that is it. Then here I can actually add another field. Let's call full name. I don't know if you have the first name, middle name. Let's just check. We don't have, so we can actually do that. So let's come here. I want us to add first name. Then we can do that. Then I want us also to add I want us to add the middle name. I also want us to add the last name. Then on this last name, I can actually take now and get the full name. So on the full name, I'll just say full name. Then my full name will be a combination of some items. So I'm going to do this to get my full name. Sorry. So my full name will be first name. So I can do that. Then I can also do my full name will be middle name. Then I can also do my full name can be so my full name will be first name, middle name, and the last name. So another information that we can capture, let's see what is missing. We have that. Do you have a phone number? Yes, we have phone number. What other thing can we have? We can have gender. Let's have gender. So we can say gender. So this is when registering users. So, and this gender, I want to have gender ID. Then I'll say get. Then this gender ID, I want it to be a foreign key from the system code detail, what we had done. So follow our video so that you're able to understand what we are doing here. Then another thing that you can do, we have the email. Another thing that we can have for the user, we can have a string for a photo. So then we'll be able to upload that at some point. So let's just capture here photo as a string. Then another thing that you can add here will be, we have the photo, we can have, we have the username. Another thing that I want to add instead of gender is I want us to, apart from the gender, I want us to add the role. So I want us to add the role for each of the users who is logged into our application. So for the role, this will be a string. So this will be string, then we'll say role ID. So the role ID, then we need to inherit this from our identity role. So for the role, I want us to have here we'll say identity role. Then we'll say that is a role. There we go. But also when we'll be creating roles, so we now have the role ID, then we'll be linking that to the roles. So another thing that you can have within a user is we can maybe indicate the status of that user, whether he is active or not. So you can actually have here is active, and we can have this as Boolean. Then for the is active, a user can be deactivated. So you can actually have a deactivation date. So deactivate, can say deactivated on, and we can have this as a date time. Then what other thing can we have as a, so another thing that you can add is the last activity date. So let's have the last activity date. This is when the user logged into our application. So last activity date. So you can have that as the last activity date. So I think that is it. So another thing that I want us to do on our roles, when we come to our tables, the user roles, this is where we'll be creating here. Roles. This is where we'll be creating our roles. So what I want us to do is to create another class called application roles. So I want us to create application role. Then I want us to inherit from identity role. Then here we do public. Then we can add some information here. So you can have, maybe we describe what the role is. So you can say description. We are building on top of the identity role. Sorry. Then another thing that you can add is who created that role. So you can say created by ID. And remember, the person who created this role should come from application user. So this is a foreign key, application user. Then this will be our created by. Then this created by, we can also have created on. So we can say created on. So this will be date time. Another thing that you can say is maybe these roles are being reviewed. Then you can say reviewed by. So this is reviewed by ID, and this should be a user within our application. So we have that. Then we can say this should be reviewed by. So once we have that, so we had actually used application identity role on our user class here. So I'm changing that to take the details from the application role. So after we have that, I want us to modify something. So I want us to modify something so that we are able to use this on our application. So when we go to program.cs, we have we have, so I want us to go to program.cs. We have our identity role. So you see here we are using application user. So let's just confirm this application. I think we had actually done this. Where did we create it? So come to this data. So we have it here. Yeah, so let me just copy these two. I'm going to cut them. Then I can maybe replace it here. Let me just have them here. Or we remove this. Let me just remove this instead of cutting that. So we have these two. So we have application role and application user. So if I come to application DB context, I want to modify my application here. So let me just, we can borrow these two. Let's just paste here on our, let's just have it here. There we go. So we have this and we have this. Let's see, yes, everything is okay. So if we come here, you're able to see that application user cannot be used as a parameter. So if I come to program.cs class, there we go. So this one, I should actually get it. Sorry. So application role and user should actually come from data. We change the namespace so that it is able to locate our. We also change this one. Change this one. Then this one should come from shared. So that is fine. And also this is fine. So when you come to application DB context, we should be able to now get this from application user. And here we are okay with that. So what I want us to do, we've added those two things. But what I want us to modify something small on our application DB context, such that on our application DB context here, we are going to say identity DB context, then application user. Then I also want us to have application role. Then on this application role, I want us to say, so let me just modify this. I want it to look this way. We have application DB context, identity DB context, application role. Then we can have this as can say string. Then we can close it that way. Then what we need to have is our, I want us to have our constructor. So let's just do public. Then we say application DB context here. Should actually have a DB context option, context options. Then we do that, then this should be that way, then this should be that way. So what is wrong with this? It's saying our cannot be used as a T in the generic. So this is public, then identity DB context, application user, application role. There we go. Then I want us now to go to our program.cs. Then I want us to modify something. So come here. Then we say application DB context here services. I want us to use add identity. So add identity, then do application user, then also do application role, then do that. Then we have our application DB context, add sign-in manager, default token providers. I think that is okay. Then if we come here, we have add our application DB context here. Then there we go, that's fine. So if we go to application DB context, this is saying, so let's address this error and see what is wrong. So come to application roles. So let's just remove everything here. I think there was an issue. Yeah, we are using SPNet core identity. Then for application user, let's also remove everything here. Then import, we are using that. System codes details, we should be using that. So if we go back here, then the error is gone. We now have our application user and application role. Then for the program.cs, we've modified this to application user and application role. So what I want us to do, let's go to NuGet package manager console. Then here, I want us to clear. Then we can update add migrations. Add migrations, then say application user. So if we add a migration, we should be able to modify our SPNet users table. So if you come to this table, SPNet users table, we should be able to now add the additional fields that we missed, that we've just modified. So let's check. So we'll add migrations. So let's just do update database. This will be updating our tables. So this will add all the fields to our application that is SPNet users. So you can see all the details is fine. So if we come to our SPNet users table, you should be able to find all those columns that we've just added. So you can see username, normalized username, email, normalized email, phone number. Then if we go to the end, we'll see we have the first name, gender ID is active, last activity date, last name, middle name, and the photo. So those are some of the fields that we've just added. So if we launch our app, we should be able to have our app running. So I want us to now make use of some of those fields and try to modify and even register a user. So you can see our app has launched. So if you can see we are now able to see all the data, the students, the books, the countries, and the rest. But now I want us to do something. So if we come to our application, I want us to go to our program.cs file. Then I want us to add this service, add authentication, and even add authorization. So add authorization. Then on our app, I want us to say app.use authentication. Then app.use authorization. So if we do that, I want us to go now to our layout. So let's go to our components, then our routes. So as you can see on the routes, we are using the authorized route view and we navigate to our main layout. If not authorized, then I will redirect to login. So on our landing page, I want us to say on our landing page, we should ensure that our application is authorized. So I want us to say at using Microsoft.SPNetCore.authentication. So if we do that, then I want us to say at attribute. So at attribute, then I want us to have authorize. So if we do that, I want us to say Microsoft.sp.netcore.authentication. So you can also have authorization here. Authorization. Then I want us to have attribute, then authorize. So we need to have authentication and authorize. So you can also have here, you have our components, then you can say your components dot authorize, then that is it. So if we do that, let's just launch our app and see. If we do that, we should be able to get our application now requesting us to log in when we go to that page. You can see. So this is what is happening. So you can see user that account, we can actually register a user. So on the registration page, you can see we have only the email, password, and the confirm password. But what we did on our application user, if we go to our model, on our application user, we added some few fields. So on our application user, we added the first name, middle name, last name, photo, agenda, full name. You have whether it is inactive or active, then last activity, and even the activation date. So I want us to do something here. For now, I want us to have, for the photos, I want us to ensure that this can be nullable. Then last activity date cannot be nullable. Then the activation date, we can have it as nullable. Remember, once we do that, we need to update our database. So I want us to update those two fields. So I'll do clear, then add migration, then user details. Then it will actually update those two columns. So once those two columns are updated, then we can actually register a user with other details. So let me just do that. Then update database. Press enter. Our database should be updated. So if that is updated, there we go. That's fine. So what I want us to do now, go to our components, then accounts, then pages. So under register here, you'll see that we have some few things. So I want us to add more columns, fields I mean. I want us to add a column for first name. So the input first name, so we need to define it on our model here. So this model, we need to have it, we now need to provide all these fields that we had here. So I want us to copy those fields on our application user. So come to data, then application user. I want us to copy this. And us to copy this. Then we need to add it to our razor here. Model. So here we need these fields. So here we need the first name, and we can say this is the first name. Can remove that. We say it is actually required. We also add another one for middle name. So this is middle name, this is middle name. Then we also add another one. We can say that is last name. Last name. Then we also have can also have a photo, but now you know it will be null. So that is a photo, and you can remove this. Then we can also have gender. So let's have a gender. So we can actually, let's just leave this as it is. Leave this as it is. So gender, we have the gender ID. So this is an int. Here, this will be photo. And this is gender. Then you can say this is 0. Then once we have that, our full name will be that. Then is active. You can see we have it that way. So you can just do that. then is active, I'll just require these will be always true. Let's just have that as true when registering. Then deactivated on, that is nullable. Then last activity date, you can always have these as the date, time, then dot now. So you can do that. Then as long as we have these fields now, let's go to our application. So at the top here we have, so you can have the first name. So that is the first name. We can bind it here. This is first name, and this is first name. I'll just remove the placeholder, and I can zoom this a bit. So after we are done with that, we can now add another field for middle name. You can just do middle name. Then this middle name, I'll do it this way. Do it this way. You can here do middle name. Then I'll also do, can also do last name. Last name. Oh, we have the last name. We have defined our last name. Let's confirm. Yes, we have it here. So our last name, we need to have it here. Then we have our last name here, our last name here. This is our last name. Then this is our last name. This is our middle name. We can confirm that. Then the next thing that we need to have is our, we need to have our, what other thing? Let's confirm first name, middle name, we've added that. Then the gender. So we need the gender. So for the gender is actually a drop down. So what I want us to do, I want us to borrow what we had done on our other pages. For example, the students page. So I'm just going to borrow, or parents. So I'm going to borrow our drop down list here. And this is what we should be having here. So after we are done with the first name, we need to have that. And here now we will say gender. So our gender will be having, we bind this to input, then we say gender ID. So the gender ID, we also bind this to gender ID. Then we say select gender. Then we do that. Then for the, so on when this page is loaded, we need to initialize and load some details. So I'm going to, so let's see if there is an initialization, create user, input model. We don't have it. So I'm going to add it down here. So I'm going to do that. Then for this one, we are going to import system code detail. I want us to import something. So we are going to have this using shared models. So we are going to have that here. So using shared models. Then after that page is loaded, we need to get the list of the genders. There we go. There we go. Then you also need a service to get the system code details. So we've added some of the information to our application. So what I want us to check is we need to add some of these details. So we've added on our register page, we've added the first name, the middle name, the last name. We have two last name here, so I'll just remove one. Then we've also added the gender. So this is gender, and this gender is a drop-down list, and it should get the data from our should get the data from our system code. So this is when you initialize, we need to load these codes, get the codes by the gender, then we loop through. So we've also added on the input model, we've added the first name, middle name, last name, photo, the gender ID, the full name and the last name, the last activity date, and the deactivated one. So since we've added this, we need now to register our user to our application. So when we click on register, we should be able to save a user to our application and now log into the app. So let's just confirm and see what will happen. So if we launch our app, there we go. You can see we are being redirected to the login. So if I just click register a new user, there we go. You see we have the first name, middle name, last name, gender, email. So the gender, you see we are actually getting from our system codes details here. So I want us to register. So I'll say macro code, then James, or you say admin. Then our gender, this is male. So this was email. So we can say admin at test. Then we can have password. So I'll just do that small password. So if I click register, it's asking for a photo. Did we say photo is required? Yes, that's what we did. So that should not be the case. So let me apply that changes. Then we should not. So we made our photo to be nullable. So that is fine. So if we go back to our app again, so let's just save, say macro code, then admin, then our gender, then email. So this is admin at admin. Then you can say password. Then you also have a password. So if we register, our photo is still required. So let's just, we can actually add a photo here, but it will not be saving anything. So let me just add here. Then I'll add it as input file. Then you can have it as a photo. It will only be taking the text. So then we'll be working on a documents attachment. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So you can say user photo. So user photo. Then we go. So if we launch, we should add now our user. Then attach a photo. Then we should be in a good position. So let's just confirm. There we go. We register a user. So click register. Then macro code, admin, attach a photo. Then that is it. Admin, say admin 123, admin 123. So if we save, the password must have at least one non-alphanumeric character. So you can see we now validating our password. Then we can register. So there we go. You can see cannot insert the value null to first name. So our first name was null. Let's check. Let's confirm our first name. We need to confirm if we did the binding. So if you on submit register, We need, yes. So there is something that we need to do. So after we have done that, we need to now append some details to the user. So I'm going to say a user.firstname is equals to input.firstname. So we're going to do that. Then we are going to have we are going to do the same for the others. So we'll do the middle name. That is how we pass values. Sorry, here this middle name. Then we have the last name. So we are going to do for the activity, for the fields that we just added. So then we are going to also say full name. So our full name will be that. Do we have this? No. So let's just have these as middle name, last name, then we can say photo is equals to photo. What other thing did we add? We added the first name, middle name, last name, photo, and the gender. Yes. So then the gender, we'll also do gender ID. Then here we say gender ID. So if we do that, let's now relaunch our app and try to, but before that, I want us to do something. For the user.activity, we can say here last activity date. We put in today. Say date time dot now. So that is it. So let's launch our app. So we have these around 6 fields that we need to update. Then it will create the user with the password. So let's just check and see. Create a new user. Then we have macro code, then admin, file. So we have our file there. Select gender, email, then password, then register. There we go. So we've actually now registered. Then we need to click confirm. Click here to confirm your account. So if we click it, our account will be confirmed. When we come back to our database, we should actually check that we have our admin as email. Then you have our hashed password. Then when we go to the fields that we added, you see we have the macro code is active, admin, code, and the photo. So the photo is actually nullable. Then I want us to ensure when we register someone, we actually set them to active. So we can say is active. Then you can actually say this is true. So that is it. So once we have that, everything will be fine. So we've actually registered now a user. So we can now log in. So if we go back to our admin, you see we are being asked to log in. So I just log into our application now. So if I click login, we are now taken to our dashboard. And you can see now we can be able to navigate to our user details and the rest. So, and we can go back to the dashboard. So to see the user who is logged in, when you go to our home page, we are able to actually see and provide the name of the person who is logged in. So let's just go to our Razor component, then pages, then home. So under home, we can actually see the person who is logged in. So let's just look at the layout, then navigation menu. Then you can see here, we can provide the person who is logged in. So let's just say on our navigation menu, These are the books. So where we have macro code, you see this one? So where we have macro code, we can actually indicate the person who is logged in. So let's just have this here. So we go here, we can have this, we can close it, authorized, and it must be in an authorized view. So if that is authorized, then you can get the name of the user. We can actually say full. We can get the name. So let's just say identity.name. So if we launch our app, let's just launch our app, then we see. So if we launch our app, I've also added some links just below to ensure that whenever we want to register, so I have an authorized view, authorized, then I have links for creating an account. So for creating an account, for logging out, and if you want to register and log in. So let's just see how our app will look like. So if we launch, there you go. We are getting, there is no registered type user manager. So did we add anything at the top here? Yes, so let me just remove this. I need to remove all of this. So let's just have that navigation manager, then launch our app. So if we launch our app, we should be able to now see the user is logged in. There we go. You see there is no user here. And you are able to see we have now the register and login. So if I just log in using my password, login, then if my app is logged in, then I'm able to see my email. You see this is now admin@com, then I have my email here and I'm able to access my application. So that is it for today. So I want us on our next video to now, when we click logout, we are actually taken to a very different screen to have our own separate login page than this. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, like the video, and comment down below. See you in our next video. Bye.